Good morning.
Good morning. I'm gonna be doing like a live demo for you guys. So, yeah, you'll see everything that I do on my screen.
And for
Okay, perfect.
today's session, I just want to make sure we are clear. We're showing them how to set up their website, creating their account, how to prepare or get a QR code or the link to send their tenants the link to fill out the application, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And you guys have a subdomain set up. I can like drop it into the chat, or you guys can drop it in the chat.
You can drop it in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
All right, it's about 9:31. Let's just start at 9:32. I think that would be fair. Fran, do you agree? 9:32? Okay. All right, and before she begins, I just want, as we had mentioned a few meetings ago, that we are partnering with RentSpree. We're rolling them out today. Moving forward, NTN will be removed from our website, and it will be replaced with NTN. We worked really hard to have this all set up and ready for you guys for today. So please just make sure that moving forward, this is you can use whoever you want, but as a company, we will be with RentSpree. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you guys to Kimberly Mingo. She's going to be showing you guys how to set up your accounts, how to get your reports for your tenants. Kim, the floor is
Awesome.
yours.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so first things first, I'm actually just going to drop it into the chat, the co-branded subdomain for Remax Select agents, and I'm going to do it now before I forget. So it's there in the chat. This is how you'll go through and create your account. A couple of things to note is that I'm going to give you a pretty thorough demo of RentSpree, but it's actually a very easy platform. So what we do at RentSpree is we aim to keep you compliant with a lot of the different state regulations, laws, different things for various properties. So that being said, we do provide screening in all 50 states. So if you're licensed in other states, feel free to use RentSpree for those properties. Or if you have clients who own investment properties in other states that you might not be licensed in, and they want to do the DIY landlord route, they can also use RentSpree as well. All right. So the link that I dropped into the chat is going to go to your co-branded site, which looks like this. Feel free to check it out at your leisure. If you'd like to sign up, you're going to click on this sign up for free, and then you'll just put in your information to sign up. All right. I'm actually going to take you into my test account because there are lots of things I want to show you here. And I don't want to do anything. I don't want to add in like a real property into the system. So once you've created your account and you're logged in, you're going to see a very similar screen to what I'm showing you here. Yours, of course, will be co-branded with your logo right next to RentSpree. And then on the left-hand side, just real quick, navigation-wise, there's a little menu, expander here if you'd like to see all the various tabs. And then what I usually tell agents is if you're new to RentSpree, much like when you're learning any other product, you want to just set aside some time on the same day that you learned it, today, hopefully, to poke around the site and get a little familiar with it. You might not have a rental right now. You might not have a renter right now. So you'll want to go in and get familiar with it so that once you do get busy with that transaction, you can just be off and running. All right. So if you're not currently working with a renter or a landlord, the very first place I take agents is, you know what, spend a little time building out your presence, right? So your web presence. This is super important, especially for those who are newer agents, that people are going to go online and look for you, just like they do for any business. The moment we, decide to frequent a restaurant, for example, what do? We go in and we Google it, right? We try to look at the reviews and so forth. So we're trying to give you an avenue to promote yourself and your business online. So under this marketing section, you'll see a sub tab called professional profile. Take a few minutes to go in here and build this out. This is all about you. So it should not be complicated. You know you best. So upload your most recent headshot and you can add a little banner image up here. I'm actually sitting here near Washington, D.C., so I'm looking forward to the cherry blossoms blooming in a couple of hopefully weeks here. We have a cold snap, so it's been extremely cold, just like you guys have. But then you take the moment to go through these different categories and fill out your information. And then when you're done, you can share your profile online, right? So we offer different shortcuts to your various social media channel. You also can just copy this URL and add it to another website to allow more places for people to easily find you when they do a Google search. Now, one other thing I will note is if you do have a rental listing that you're representing, you can also go into RentSpree. I'm going to show you how to create the apply link that you can add for that listing in order to collect applications and background checks from applicants. But you can take a moment to also build out the listing page for that property, and then you can promote that property online. I'm going to show you how to do all of that under the Properties tab. So assuming that you have a rental listing that you're representing, and I will just say sometimes agents are investors themselves. So if you have your own investment property, you can also go into RentSpree and utilize it to market and to promote that listing online so that you can easily find a tenant. So you're going to go into the property section and you're going to go to where it says add property. All right. And it's just going to walk you through a wizard. It's going to pop in the address. It's going to ask you some minor things about the property. And then it's going to create like a little page for that property. So you can see here, I've created a couple of properties. So if you go into the one that you just generated, it's going to allow you to do different things with this property. So market property is probably where I would recommend you go to in order to continue to get more exposure for this property online. So this is where you can build out a listing page. It's going to be a very easy wizard. You're going to add in some basic information. You're going to add initially up to 3 photos. You can add more if you'd like, but there's a minimum of 3 photos required. If you have a virtual tour, you can drop in the virtual tour link. And then in that third step, we actually use AI on our platform to make things easier for you to create and publish a listing. So you don't have to spend all that time recreating this listing from scratch if you've already got it elsewhere. So this is something that I've done earlier. It's got all the information about this property. And then when I'm ready, I'm just going to say, hey, I want to go ahead and publish this listing. All right. So when I publish the listing, it's going to be live. People can view it online through various syndication partners that we have relationships with. So you're going to get more exposure for your property. In addition, you're also going to have that property listing page connected to your online presence. Remember earlier we started off with that professional profile. That's your information, your page. But that listing page is going to be connected to your profile so that if you're promoting yourself online, then that property is also going to be promoted as well. All right. So that's how it's going to work. Now, the other piece of this I'm going to show you real quick is the application link. So this is the most important thing. I would say the most essential piece of the rental is, obviously our goal here is to get you to close that property quickly so you can move on to the next listing or, work on other listings that you're going to be busy with. So once you go through the process of adding in that property, it's going to take you into where you can generate an application link. Your screen might be a little different since you're starting from scratch. So once you add a property, actually, let me just walk you through that process so that you'll see it a little bit clearer. I'll just add in a property here, local to me, so that you'll see the steps. Okay, see it says, are you confirming that's the existing address? I'm going to say yes. And then you're going to get this screen. All right. So then this is where you're going to get started with the market property. Now, the applications down here is where you can add whatever you'd like to include in that link. So it does generate a link for you, and we do kind of have default settings in place. But keep in mind, not every property owner wants to screen people the same way. I'll say it that way. Some property owners say, you know what, I only want to collect applications first, and then I'll kind of whittle it down. And then once I've narrowed it down to the few that look good, I will then move them on to background check, right? You're familiar with that process because that happens often. That will ultimately save all those applicants from spending money if they're not going to be qualified for the property, right? So some landlords say that. And if that's the case, you can go into edit. And that will allow you to say, hey, you know what? I don't want any background checks at this time. I only want them to fill out an application, right? If that's the case, this is the best part. There's no cost for an applicant to go in and fill out an application. They can submit it to you. You can review it with the property owner, and then the property owner can decide whether or not they want to move them on to the background check. All right. And the reason why I bring this up is because I do a lot of agent outreach calls. And I've had a couple of agents yesterday who actually said, hey, this is the process I want to use. So I just want to mention that to you. However, if the landlord says, you know what, I don't have a lot of time. I just want to see all, qualified applicants, their history and everything, so I don't have to go back and forth with people. That's fine too. You're going to go in, you're going to say, hey, I want to get, in addition to the application, a little bit more about their background, right? So I want their credit history. I might want their criminal background. I might want eviction records. Okay. So I'm going to go into a little more detail about these because based off of where the property is located, you may have local restrictions as to what is allowed. So for example, I've put in a property that is in Virginia. Virginia doesn't have any restrictions. So I can get all of this information. You guys are in New Jersey. You're fine as well. You don't have a lot of restrictions there, so you can get all this information. If the property is located in New York, for example, New York has a restriction where eviction records will not return. All right. Even though you've selected this, TransUnion, which is our partner to pull these reports, won't even provide it to you if it's a New York property. All right. Just be mindful of that. But I'm going to proceed. To get the TransUnion component, which is the credit history, background check, and the eviction records, it's $39.99 along with the application. Okay. There is another option down here to get additional insights for the applicant. So there's an extended background check. The reason why it's extended is because there are some states where it kind of restricts what you can get from those records, but we dig a little deeper into those records. Okay, it's a little hard to explain. It's more of a, I guess, a technicality per local areas. But we give you more extended background checks. We dig deeper. We also give you income verification. Income verification is a supplemental report to the TransUnion reports that will provide you with the last 2 years worth of bank deposits for that tenant. And it's provided by a company called Finicity, which is a MasterCard subsidiary company. They provide a secured platform. The applicant is asked to add in their banking credentials, and then Finicity will pull from that bank account all of the deposits coming through that bank account for the last 2 years. So this in essence would be kind of like why you guys in the past have asked for like bank statements, right? You want to confirm that their income is what they've stated. So that's what income verification will provide for you. In addition, we also do reference checks. So reference checks will be sent out to their references via email and via text. There's a form that that person would fill out, and then we will submit all of their answers back to you. And then there's also document requests. So a lot of times, a minimum would be, hey, I need to collect a valid ID, right? So there is that. That's we're asking them to upload. And then there are other documents as well that you can opt to get from them if you need to. So proof of income, for example, bank statements. We mentioned the ID, W-2s, tax returns, or any other documents that you can state here. Okay, so you get a little flexibility in customizing what requests, but it kind of defaults to the ID. All right, so this right here, this layer is an additional $10. So in essence, if you're doing just what we call the standard screening, which is the application along with the TransUnion components, it's $39.99. If you also want the advanced verifications, it's $49.99 total. All right. Now, there's no cost for you. We don't charge the agent, and it defaults that way. But so the applicant covers it, and it's per adult applicant. All right. However, if this is your own property and you've narrowed down your list of applicants to, let's say, one or two people, and you say, you know what, I'm going to cover the fee for them. If you're that generous, then you can opt to pay for that person when you're doing their screening. Okay. However, our system does default to the applicant pay because we don't certainly don't need to, inconvenience you for having to collect funds or something like that afterwards. All right. So this right here is where you can modify the link. So the link is this funky link right here. So this right here is unique for this property, and it's unique to how you wish to screen for this property. So if you wish to share this link out for people, then you can just click on the share option. You can text it to them. You can email it to them, and so forth. All right. So there is that built into the system here. I've closed applications. I haven't activated it. So let me go ahead and activate this. All right. So you can actually send this out to people. You can also just copy the link itself and, drop it into an email or something like that. All right. I will say for those of you who are adding your listing in through the MLS, you can also copy the link and add it to your MLS wherever your MLS allows. All right. So that depends on the MLS. There are different rules around where they're allowing you to add an external link. I want to show you what that will look like from the applicant's perspective. So if they receive the link from you or, elsewhere, then they're going to click on it and they're going to be taken into a screen where they can add in all of their information and then they can submit everything. This is on the RentSpree dashboard. So we handle all of this for you. So once they hit start, it's going to ask them who they are, all their information regarding the application. And then it's also going to collect either their social security number, which they will supply, or their individual tax identification number in order for TransUnion to pull their history. So they need to have either the SSN or the ITIN. Now, if they don't have either, then unfortunately, TransUnion would not have any records for them. So you can only collect the application. All right, so be mindful of that. It may happen, and you can collect documents to support their financial situation. Now, down here, I want to mention for those of you who represent a lot of renters, you might want to be aware of this to let them know because, in many markets, it can be very competitive to get a rental property. And so that renter applies to one property. They don't get that one. They're going to have to apply to another property and maybe a third property. And those screening fees can add up if they have to apply to multiple places. So what we do on our platform here is for the renter, before they check out, we offer them a one-time $15 add-on that will convert their entire packet into a reusable packet. So if they don't get this first property that they applied for, well, they have the entire packet ready to apply to another property and another property and another property. Within a 30-day window, they can apply to as many properties as they need to. All right. And there would be no additional cost to the screenings other than this one-time $15 fee. So it's something to be mindful of if you are working with a lot of renters. And then, of course, they will continue to payment and check out on our platform. All right. Now, once they make payment and check out on our platform, within, I'd say 10 minutes for the most part, you will receive a completed background check and application via email. So make sure you're bookmarking the RentSpree email. That will be a PDF. You can also go directly into your RentSpree dashboard, and then within the property section, you'll be able to see any incoming applications as well. All right, so you see this tab here where it says application. So if you click on it, it will show you the incoming applications. This one has been submitted. So this is the one that I can click through. I can view. I can also share the packet with my landlord client. So if this is not my property, I would definitely want to share the packet with the landlord client so that they can review it and then they can assess what they want to do with this applicant. All right. So share is pretty easy. You're going to click on that black button. You're going to drop in your landlord's email, a quick message if you'd like, whatever reports you're going to be sending them, and then hit share. Now, if your landlord is, let's say, unavailable for a few days or a couple of weeks, right? We want to make sure that we deliver it to them. Let's say, I don't know, some landlords are kind of weird. They want to meet in person, right? Not weird, but different. So if that's the case, you might want to print a copy of this, right? And I say that very carefully because there are people out there who they don't want anything via email. They don't want all that stuff. They just would rather see you in person and they want the hard copy, right? Keep in mind, we offer that. That's an option. You can print it. You can also print this for the purpose of saving that paperwork for yourself. Some people like that, all right? You can also save this as a PDF. So this little down arrow is where you can save it. And these two options will allow you to basically take it off of the RentSpree platform and store it as long as you need to, whether it's a hard copy or a soft copy. The share option is only going to be available for this packet within a 30-day window because you'll see here where credit, background, and eviction is grayed out on my screen. TransUnion updates their databases every 30 days. All right. So the credit, background, and eviction components will only be available to share within that 30-day window. However, the application is a standalone thing. It's that document is provided by the consumer, the applicant. So that application will always be available to share at any point. All right. I'm just pointing out that to you in case you have a process for filing your paperwork. You'll want to know what to do with all these different things. All right. Taking a step back. I also want to mention that the reports, let me show you some sample documents here. The reports are viewable on our support page. So the lower left-hand corner, there's a little help option. So if you click on that, you're going to be able to search for different reports. You can also just kind of poke around our support resources to watch videos or learn about new things. By the way, this resource is available for you, the agent. It's also available for any landlords who are using the system, any applicants, or any renters who are using the system. So we provide assistance for everybody. This is just a sample document in case you're curious about what the rental application entails. I'm going to show you that real quick. And it also has a sample of the credit history. Okay, so this is coming from TransUnion, as I mentioned. One quick note here, even though TransUnion needs to have their either their SSN or the ITIN, they do not print this on the report, right? Why would they? We don't want to give you that liability. We try to minimize your liability. So we restrict the SSN from appearing on this report. So this is going to be a copy of, the TransUnion credit report. It gives you a very thorough history of their opened and closed straight lines, credit inquiries, collections, bankruptcies, all of that. So you'll see all of this coming through. You'll also see their payment history as well on each of their opened credit lines. All right. A couple of things I want to note. Credit inquiry. So you guys are familiar with this. Whenever someone applies for a line of credit, whether it's a mortgage, a car loan, a credit card, the bank will want to know their credit history, and they pull what's called a hard credit. I'm sorry, a hard pull against their credit, right? Over time, if you have a lot of hard pulls against your credit, it will negatively impact your credit score. RentSpree does not do that. It is a soft pull against their credit because, we recognize that renters are in a different situation. They might be renting because they cannot afford to purchase. Their credit score isn't great. So we certainly don't want to negatively impact their credit score any further. So when we pull the history here, even though it's a very thorough history, it will not be a hard pull. So it won't ding their credit score. Speaking of credit score, I also want to point out that what you're seeing here on the TransUnion credit history report is the resident score. Now, visually, this is going to look very much like a FICO or a credit score that we're used to seeing, right? That little gauge mechanism. But this is not the same as the FICO score or the credit score. This is TransUnion's unique resident score. It does take into account all of those financial aspects of their history, but it takes into account other factors as well. So this number is not going to be the same if they pulled their FICO score or their credit score from a different credit bureau, right? Just be mindful of that because occasionally you'll get a renter who says, hey, my number on RentSpree is a little lower than what I saw here or a little higher than what I saw there, whatever it might be. It's not going to be the same. It's a totally different mechanism, totally different formula for assessing the scoring. All right. Just want to point that out there because I do get agents who have that question. Now, quickly want to show you the criminal background and, of course, the eviction, what it's going to look like. When it comes to the criminal background, we do check against the national databases along with the state records. If you're curious about screening restrictions, as I mentioned, New York has a little bit different restriction there. In New York, you can't get the eviction records. It just doesn't come back to you. New York also has a limit of the screening fee. It limits it to $20. We take care of all of that for you. So you can stay compliant with all of your state regulations. But if you're curious about it, feel free to click through on this link. I'm actually going to drop this link into the chat real quick, just so you have it in case you're curious and you want to see it at a later time. All right. But check out these documents. It's for your reference. The other document I want to show you is income verification. So I mentioned that income verification is something that you can get for additional insights for this applicant. So I'll drop that link into the chat as well, so you can check that out. Feel free to save that if you'd like. But income verification will look like this. Okay, it does come from Finicity, which, as I mentioned, is a MasterCard subsidiary. So it's going to ask the applicant to link in their banking credentials onto the secured platform. And then Finicity will pull the report that will provide you with the last 2 years worth of deposits. Now, this will give you any type of deposit that hits that account. So whether it's a regular payroll distribution or it's a Zelle, PayPal, Venmo transfer in, you'll see that. If it's a check or a cash deposit, you'll see that hit as well. All right. So that'll give you a good understanding of their income stream. And again, this goes back the 2 year period. So feel free to check that out if you'd like. That's a very, it's a great supplemental report that I'm sure your landlord will appreciate. All right. That being said, I'm going to hop back to the dashboard and I'm going to point out one last thing before we open it up for questions. Payments. So if you have your own investment properties, you might be interested in collecting rent from your tenants or security deposits or something of that nature. There is a payment section here, which is available for landlords. If you are not an investor, you work with a lot of landlords, you may want to just make them aware that this is an option. They can get it electronically deposited into the bank account that they would connect into RentSpree. I don't typically go into this in detail, but I always like to point it out to agents because this would be a good resource for you to let your landlords know about in case they don't have an electronic means of collecting rent. All right, so you can collect monthly rent, you can collect security deposits or any other fees. That is it for the RentSpree platform. Pretty straightforward, but I wanted to make sure I leave enough room for questions. So let's go ahead and open it up for our questions. I did see some come through the chat.
Yeah, I got a question. So when you add a property, it's not just your listing. It could be a somebody else's listing that is putting a place up for rent, correct?
So if it's someone else's, you mean like another agent's listing or another owner's
Yeah,
property?
yeah, because another agent could have the listing, but you have the possible tenant.
Yes, yeah. And it depends on how you guys work in your area. So in some areas, the listing agent use RentSpree, and so they're going to supply you a link. That's a link that they'll want you to forward on to your renter. They will fill it out, and then the listing agent will receive that report, right? If it's a listing where they don't have any means of collecting that or they didn't communicate that to you, you can have your renter fill this out, get the report, and then forward that report over to the listing agent. I would say in that case, I would just reach out to the listing agent to ask them because some of them prefer a different system. I'm not going to say that everybody uses RentSpree. A lot of people do, but just kind of confirm what type of report they're looking for.
What link are you using for if you only represent the tenant?
Yeah. So if you're only representing the tenant, you do have an option of just going in through screening and then selecting that you just want to screen the tenant. You can add in an address. We don't print the address anywhere, so you can put in like your office address, for example, if you'd like to do it that way. Or you can say, hey, I just want to add a property later. It will let you advance through the system, generate a link in order to collect that information from the applicant. You'll get the full history report. Oh, this thing is stuck for some reason. You'll get that full report like I showed you earlier.
So you get all the reports in the application.
Correct. Yeah. Whoever generates the link and shares it with the prospect, that report will return back to that person.
So it's really probably better off for us if we're just representing the tenant to just do that link for the screening. Because otherwise the information, if the listing agent is providing it, could go right back to them and circumvent us.
Yes, although I will say on the application, we do ask the applicant, are they working with an agent? And then we capture that agent's information. So that kind of helps tie you into the transaction. But you're correct.
I
The
think,
application and the packet will return to whoever generates the application link.
Kim, what I'm gonna suggest to our agents is that they use the screening link just because a lot of the rentals that we do, the listing agent just ask us to submit the application. So I would rather our agents, instead of directing them to use the link of the listing agent, they just do the screening link. I think that would
Perfect.
be better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Listen to your broker.
And I haven't gotten to meet you all yet. Unfortunately, I was just slightly late, and thank goodness Kim was here. But I am your strategic partnership manager, so I'll be working with you all on sales conversion. Kim knows the product very, very, very well. I specialize in like how to market, what to say, when to say it, exactly what to do to drive you all a lot of revenue. So a quick introduction. I'm coming from Zillow. I was there for a decade prior. I specialize in driving revenue. So I helped ideate 8 different organizations from the ground up. Most recently, before I left, I was responsible for the largest partner revenue segment. So we invested $7 million in our partner agents, and my job was to make that money back each month. And I drove an average of 14 million back for the company. So my goal is to help do that for you all. And then you can use the screening product when it's appropriate, because right now 40% of landlords are, or I'm sorry, homeowners are becoming accidental landlords right now, which we'll talk about on another session. But Kim is just here to make sure you really understand the product, know the rules, the regulations. It's all understanding with, aligned with Adona's expectations. And then we have our support team as well. That is a direct phone number for you all. So if you have any questions about RentSpree, please rely on our team and not, Fran. Don't blow up Fran's phone, please. Our team is here for you. And if you Google them, you'll see our Google reviews. We take a lot of pride in that, and that's because of our support team. That's where almost all of those come from. So they're extremely empathetic. Not only can you call them, but your clients can call them. So also the same thing, don't get in the weeds with your clients over questions. That's going to take you a lot of time, and we can just give them a phone number and have a team that you can really trust to take care of you guys.
Do you guys
Ashley,
have
can
like
you, thank you.
Number.
Can
I
you
was going
put
to say,
that phone
yes,
number
it
in the
is.
chat? Okay,
Yes,
and
Ashley will drop that into the chat. I just want to make sure I address the question. So Mary
Yes,
had a good
please.
question about just when I was talking about the syndication. So she just wanted clarification. So I don't need to do a separate listing in Zillow. You don't. That's the nice thing is if you go into RentSpree, you build out that listing page, you're actually killing, I hate to say it, multiple birds with one stone, right? So you have a listing page, a way to promote your property online. You can it connects to your profile automatically. And yes, it pushes it out through syndication to various, I will say various listing sites that focus on rentals, Zillow being one of them. Okay. And we're constantly adding to that list. So you don't have to do anything more than create that listing site and then clicking that publish button.
Kim,
And the cool thing,
if we
oh,
have an IDX feed from
Mhm.
our local MLSs,
Yes.
can that feed to RentSpree or no?
So the IDX feed at this time, we need to basically need permission from the MLS to ingest. And a lot of MLSs have restrictions on what vendors are able to get it. So yeah, but you did actually bring up something that I just want to clarify too, Fran. If you put it into your MLS, you know that your MLS will syndicate it out, right? It's just one of the things that they do. Um, It will overlap with some of the sites that we have a partnership with, but don't worry because those sites know to deduplicate the listing. So if it's the
Okay.
same property address, they're not going to present it twice on that site because that will confuse the consumers. They will dedupe it. A lot of times the MLS listing will override the RentSpree listing due to their contracts. But yeah, your listing will be out there.
Okay.
Let me make sure. So
I do
Kathleen,
have a question, Kim. So
yes.
what happens if there's two applicants?
Hmm.
Are those combined? Can the first applicant add the co-applicant? Or would they need
So
to do it separately? And then how do we combine them?
yeah, so they will do it separately. Each applicant will get that same link, right? They will do it separately because their history from TransUnion has to be pulled separately based off of their identifier. When it gets returned to you, it actually will get returned to you based off of when the first person goes into the application, they can identify the second tenant. And then the second tenant, of course, when they go in, they'll identify the first tenant and it actually ties the tenants that way. But the reports will come into you separately into the where I showed you because it depends. The first tenant may get it done quicker than the second tenant. You'll just get it whenever they get it done. But you'll know from the application which one goes where.
All right, I know Ashley wrote this on the chat. Someone said, is there any support hours, weekdays and weekends? So Monday to Friday, 7 to 4 p.m. And then you also have Ashley's direct cell phone number. So I'm assuming that,
Personal cell phone. Please text me if you need to, because I do get a lot of spam calls. So just preface that I might not have your number saved. So please, if you need me, send me a text so I know it's urgent.
and if anyone is currently driving and are unable to save her number, I will be sending out an email with the recording so you guys all have it, and I will include her contact information on that email. So if you are at a place that you can't write it down, don't worry.
And we will be announcing, and sending out for the other, Zooms or webinars that Ashley will be providing as we move through the transition. But first, we want to get everything, the basics underway, and then the opportunity to try to build your business and do all of that will come in the near future. In the near future.
Yes, and Ashley or Kim, there was another question. What happens if if an agent already had a RentSpree account? Is there a way for them to merge it with our link?
Yes, absolutely. Just
How
reach
do
out
they
to
do
me
that?
or Ashley. We'll take care of it. We have to go through our support team to do it, but it can be done very easily.
Should
And there was a couple of questions, Kim, that I just slacked you that I got through the
Oh,
chat.
okay.
Just to make sure we
Can you ask? I think Kenya was about to ask a question.
Oh, I was just going to say, should you go ahead and sign up if you already have an account, because a lot of my agents already use RentSpree, including myself, should you go ahead and sign up under Remax Select with the link that you sent in the chat and then call you to combine them?
Yes,
Because
yes.
yes.
So let me also clarify how our system works. So we do it by email addresses. So if you have to have a different email address in order to sign up as a new user on a specific subdomain. So if you only have one email and you try to sign up again under this subdomain, it'll say, oh, you already have an account with such and such. If that's the case, just contact us and say, hey, my email is tied to this whatever it is. In some cases, we can move it over. It depends. A lot of agents might have created an account under the regular rentspree.com, right? Which is basically our company website. We can float any account from rentspree.com to any subdomain that's a partner of ours. So that's not an issue. But if you have it tied to another partnership that we've got, like maybe your MLS or something like that, create a new one for Remax Select with a different email address, and then we'll merge it together, and then you'll only have one account. So just wanted to make sure you understood that process.
Same, and then I'll add in a little bit there because same if you say you're a Skyslope user or a Lone Wolf user and you have an account through them, and you want to make sure that both accounts talk to each other. You want to decide what you want your main email communication to be through Remax. Get that created through your partnership page. And then once that's established, you can use anything you want, any system you want, how to do it. The main takeaway of today is making sure you like know how to use, you know what your consumers like get access to, and then really make sure you set up your RentSpree profile basics so that if we're pushing communications out on your behalf with AI or marketing you or they're looking you up, you have a basic branding in the Remax system.
One of the questions that Mary Peck asked, which I think is important, is what is the turnaround time for the application and report? And would that affect on the weekend as well? Let's say somebody does it on a Sunday. When would
Yeah.
you expect the report to?
This is the wonderful thing about having the RentSpree platform in place is everything is automated. So TransUnion never closes, RentSpree never closes from a technical perspective. As soon as an applicant submits it, most reports will generate within a 10-minute window and they'll deliver it to you via email. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, depending on how much history they have and how much digging is required. So the TransUnion standard screening, which is the credit history, criminal history, eviction, that is automated. So you'll get that within 10 minutes. Okay. I also dropped in an answer to another question about commercial rentals. I'll say it this way. If the business owner uses an ITIN or an SSN instead of a business identifier, then we can do it. But because TransUnion needs the SSN or the ITIN, mainly it's used for residential properties because business owners will have a different type of identifier. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. And
So,
then, mhm,
I had a question. So if we
yes,
were to just do the application part of it, there's no
yes,
charge.
correct. Yes.
Okay. And
So
then
when you
can,
go in to select your options,
yeah.
just make sure the screening components that has a fee associated with it is not checked on. And then you'll just be able to send them an application itself. And we handle the application process like field by field. We'll ask them to fill it out.
And then once they're done, we get, as an agent, we get notification.
Correct. You'll
And
get an
then,
email with the completed application on there.
oh, I'll get the PDF from it.
Yeah, you'll get it via email. And then, of course, when you log into RentSpree, you'll also sit there.
That's great because they don't have to do a separate one and from our dot
Yes.
loop.
Yeah, and actually what's also nice is when the applicant gets that application link for just the application piece, they'll be prompted to create a RentSpree account, which would be free for them to create. It stores the information from their application. So let's say they get moved on to the second step, which is the screening, right? The agent sends them another link. Hey, go ahead and click on this. It won't make them fill out the application again, which is nice. It's a time saver. It just jumps them down to step 3, which is put in your identifier and we got everything else.
And I could do that with just the screening link as a tenant's agent.
Correct. Yeah. Now
Okay.
keep in mind that the screening links are unique. So whatever options you have selected and you generated that link for the first one, let's say you only did the application. When you go back in, you have to select the other options, which would be the screening. That will change the actual link itself. So you'll
I
be
see.
sending them like a secondary link.
So how would
That's
they
just
connect
unique to-
them?
Yeah, our system
How?
will connect it.
Oh, because of the login?
Correct. Yes. It's just those links will look different. Like you'll see a different series of numbers and letters, and you're probably
Right.
thinking, oh, what's wrong with this? It's because you made some changes in the screening options. So now it's a different, unique link. Each time you touch that and you make some change, it creates a new unique link that directs them to the new instructions.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to point out to our agents that were on here. Okay, New Jersey law, you cannot do that criminal background check until the landlord has decided to made an offer of rent to the tenant to accept their application. At that time, you can do the background check, the criminal background check. Now, if they go back in, the applicant, and check that off at a later date, or do they have to start a new application for that?
Actually, we handle that on our end. So we handle that to make it compliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fran,
I'll
I
give,
think we can do eviction screening, I mean, background.
I think so too, but I am
Yeah.
gonna send a
Yes.
message to the state to verify that. I know that the criminal background check is a no-no until you make an offer of rent to someone. The landlord's gonna accept the application. I know that. There's also another change that came through with the rentals, but we'll talk about that another time.
Fran, is that subject to the criminal being good, or in other words, you're not going to promise an apartment to somebody and they have a criminal background, correct?
I don't see that there would be a problem saying, look, the landlord has, decided to make an offer for you to rent the apartment. We're going to do the next step, which would be the criminal background check. Providing that all goes well, then, but I think it should be documented that way, so that they're aware of what we're doing, right? We want to disclose that to the public if we're doing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the laws are changing all the time. So, that's why I always like to just send my email to the state to have them confirm uh what today is bringing. I
Anyone
think
else have questions before we let you guys go for today? We'll be doing a lot more sessions. Ashley is going to do a lot of webinars for all of us. That's really going to help you guys with rentals and turn those rentals into sales. And so we're very, very excited. Everything will be on our hub. We'll be sending out a lot of emails, and I hope you guys make the time to join because we're here to help you guys succeed and make more money.
Thank you so much, Kim. It was a great
Yeah, it was
presentation
amazing.
also.
Thank you. Thank you all
Thank
for
you,
your time.
Kim.
Thank you.
And so nice to meet all of you agents. I am so excited. You'll also get invited to a social media group that we have where I drop in little sales tips there. So you'll have training, you'll have all kinds of resources. But our whole goal is to just help make sure you make a bunch of money and do as many transactions as you want this year. So you'll be seeing a lot of me.
Awesome.
Yeah, and one
Thank
last thing, I
you.
did drop
Thank
an
you.
article from our support on conditional acceptance. So exactly what Fran was clarifying there. Feel free to save these links. They're just quick access for you.
And I did
Okay.
save all the links. So when we send out the email with the recording, I will be attaching the links for you guys. And also Kathy Morin, who was the president of New Jersey Realtor, she also made a comment about what France pretty much said is the landlord must make a contingent offer to lease before a criminal background can be done. So just make sure you guys will send those emails out to you so that you are aware and you have it in writing.
Mhm.
Any other questions? I know this was more than 30 minutes, but we wanted to make sure we offer you guys the opportunity to ask questions if you are working with a lot of tenants. No? All right. Well,
Okay.
they're good
Thank
to go.
you.
Thank you. I'm going to
Thank
stop the
you.
Thanks,
recording.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.